Answer Gray here for episode 74 of the Confident Live Marketing Show. I've got Amy Woods here. How are you doing, Amy?
I'm doing well, Ian. I'm going to try and have the high energy levels that you have. I'm doing good. Thank you so much for having me on. It's great to be here. It's great to be back, actually.
It's great. This is technically your third time on the show, actually, because you've been on the show like as the main guest, but then you came on for our special like birthday edition as well. I think, didn't you?
Yeah.
That was
yes, I did.
Seems a long time ago. So I think that was actually the last time we properly chatted. Although, well, it wasn't really proper though, was it? Because it was like, yeah, running around. But anyway, yes. So it's great to have you on. Amy is the founder of Content 10X, which if you've been watching this show for any space of time, you'll know all about, because Content 10X is one of the main sponsors of the show. So today we're going to be talking about how to become a leading authority on LinkedIn with live video. So I'm really excited about this because LinkedIn is one of those places where I know I need to do a lot more work, and I've kind of, I'm going to be picking your brains a lot maybe in this show. If you're watching the replay, do put #replay in the comments, and if you're watching live, let me know where in the world you're watching from. That would be awesome. I can just see Mark Orr is here. He says morning just. It is morning in the UK at least. So it's great to see you, Mark. Hope you're doing well. And also, just before I forget, also just to say that if you're watching not on Facebook, then you just need to go to confident.live/subscribe to get my confidence guide. That's confident.live/subscribe. And you can also get notified for all future shows using my fancy new Facebook Messenger bot, which is very exciting. Are you a Facebook Messenger bot fan, Amy?
I don't know. I was initially quite, I suppose, cynical about messenger bots, in general. I wasn't too sure. And I think I had experienced a few of the kind of spammy side of it. I guess it was probably a year or so ago when quite a lot of people were, doing things where you would say yes in the comments if you think that if you agree with something or whatever, and then what you were actually doing was subscribing to a bot and you didn't even know you were doing that and things like that. So I think I saw a bit of the shady side of it. But then I remember on my podcast I interviewed Kerry Noble Mirabella, I think it was, about Kelly, Facebook Messenger bots. Yeah, Kelly. And she convinced me, actually, she talked to me all about how it can be done really well and not in that spammy way. And we were talking obviously about kind of repurposing and maximizing content. And she, explained how you can be sending, if people are interested in your podcast, you can have them as podcast bots, subscribers, etc. And all the ways it works. And it did open my eyes to it. So it's not something that we've used as a business, but I think Kelly convinced me of the virtues of how it can be used really effectively. Yeah, so it's great to hear that you're using it and having success with it.
Well, I think I shared your issues, your concerns about it. I think, and that's why I didn't use it for ages and ages. And so I think integrity is really important when it comes to Facebook Messenger bots, and I'm wanting to use it in the right way and in an efficient way. So, we'll see how we get on. I mean, it's still fairly new, so and I want to test things. So this is great. Well, I think it's time to get on with the podcast bit. So we'll be with you just after this.
This is the Confident Live Marketing Podcast. Confident Live Marketing Podcast with Ian Anderson Gray, helping entrepreneurs level up their impact, authority and profits through the power of live video. Gain confidence in front of the camera, confidence with technology, and confidence with the content and marketing.
Together, we can go live!
Hello, Ian Anderson Gray here for episode 74 of the Confident Live Marketing Show. This is episode 74, so you can find the show notes for this at iag.me / if I can get my words out today, /74. And we're going to be talking about LinkedIn today. Now, we've not talked about LinkedIn that much on the show, and I want to address that because LinkedIn is such a powerful network. And I'm so excited I've got my good friend Amy Woods on the show to talk about how to become a leading authority on LinkedIn using live video. Today's show is sponsored, as always, by Content 10x, which is very exciting because Amy, of course, is the founder of Content 10x and also Restream. So instead of actually going straight through to my normal sponsor slot for Content 10x, I'm going to introduce Amy. Amy Woods is fantastic. She is an expert in content repurposing and the founder of Content 10x, a niche creative agency. She helps content creators grow their audience by maximizing their return on the content they create. She works with businesses, entrepreneurs, and thought leaders, and is the content repurposing powerhouse behind some of the most well-known podcasts and live shows, including this one, of course. She's the host of the Content 10x podcast, and she is the author of best-selling book, Content 10x, More Content, Less Time, Maximum Results, the ultimate guide to reaching more people online with your content. Amy, welcome to the show.
Ian, thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
It's great to have you on. I was just saying that the name of your book takes quite a long time to say.
Well,
have you thought about repurposing the title of your book? Well, in a sense, you have, haven't you? You've made the book.
It's really called Content 10x, and then it's so bad I've forgotten the next bit now. Content 10x, more content, less time, maximum results. That's more the subtitle, to be honest. So it's actually just called Content 10x. Yeah,
that's fab. Well, I just want to say hello to everyone who's watching. We've got a nice little crowd here. We've got Mark Orr, who says morning. Just it is definitely morning. Martin Buckland is up very, very, very early from Toronto. I assume you're still in Toronto. Who says, unfortunately, the lip sync is way out. So I don't know whether that is still the case. It seems to be okay for me. Maybe if you want to refresh your browser. But this is the thing with live video. Sometimes it doesn't go the way you want it to do. David Bain is here. Howdy, Ian and Amy. Hope life is treating you well. How is life treating you, Amy?
Life is treating me well, thank you. Yeah,
You're
getting
surviving.
me through this tough year. Yeah, surviving, trying to thrive. Busy, but happy and certainly enjoying the fact that things are getting a bit more back to normal, and we can all do a little bit more in our spare time. So yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, it's been a difficult year. And obviously, if you're listening to the podcast or watching the replay in the future, this is 2020. This is the big lockdown year. Oh my goodness, yes. It's been one of those. Yeah. Let's not talk about that. Just also Martin. I can see that Martin is watching on LinkedIn, and also David is watching on LinkedIn. Let me know, Martin. How you're getting on with your live videos, and also David as well, because I know you are doing a lot at the moment. I can also see on Facebook, Kelly Druitt is here. Hello, where are you watching from? Great to see you. So, Amy, we need to get on. We need to talk about LinkedIn, and we're also going to talk about Content 10x, of course, which you're a founder of. And just for people who haven't actually heard of Content 10x before, I kind of struggle to believe that people haven't heard of it if they've listened to this show or watched this show. But tell us a little bit more about Content 10x, how you decided to make Content 10x. How long have you been going on for, by the way? When did you first launch Content 10x? Because I remember us talking about it in a cafe in Cheadle, where I live.
Yeah, and actually, when we spoke about that, Ian, it was just in the very early stages.
Yeah.
I think it was in the, maybe you'd say, the beta stage. I'd kind of planned the background of it, and I saw that you were speaking at Social Media Marketing World, actually, and then lo and behold, and I live a few miles away from my house, and so you kindly agreed to meet up with a coffee, and I was trying to speak to people in this content world and see if I was onto something or not. So yeah, that must have been so about May 2017 was when I kind of officially considered that we started, first client got going. So just over 3 years ago now. So I guess that was probably February of that year before you were heading off to Social Media Marketing World. So yeah, 3 and a bit years, always, I guess, changed and evolved as we have moved through in understanding what people want from our services. But always our focus has been on content repurposing. So the whole idea came about from the fact that it's really important to create content, whether you have videos or podcasts, blog posts, whatever it is, but it's very, very time consuming as well. Yet when you create your original pieces of content like this live stream or any kind of video, whatever it is, there's so much that can come from that, but that's also time consuming as well. But when you've done the original piece, does it have to be you that does everything that comes from the original piece, or can you get some support and help with that? And that's where the idea came from. That's what we do. So we take original pieces of content, usually businesses that have episodic content, like yourself, like me, so podcasts, weekly videos, that kind of thing, and then we'll provide a service of repurposing into lots of different formats and publishing everything and just taking care of everything after the point of creating the core content. And so, yeah, it's crazy. We originally kind of repurposed pretty much everything and did pretty much anything, from blog posts to infographics. We worked with even helping somebody with a diploma that they were running for civil servants and all kinds of things. But now we've niched down a lot more. We work specifically on video, live and pre-recorded video and podcasts. And we have slightly more set ways of working with people now, but purely based on 3 years of really kind of working out what works, and really drilling down on that. So yeah, it's been fantastic. Ups and downs, cool. But it's been absolutely great.
Well, niching down can sometimes be quite a scary thing for a business owner. I was always scared about niching, and I think everyone else around me knew before me that I should be focusing on live video, and I was going, oh, and then I did, and so it's kind of the same with you. But also for you, I think as a business owner, it's a lot easier. You can produce a much kind of more quality service if you're focusing on fewer services, I think, and that's kind of what you're doing, which is awesome. Just to say, just a few more comments. So it looks like there is a little bit of a few sync issues, so this is probably my fault. But anyway, so hopefully you can cope with that. So apologies. Mark says sync is out a tad, whereas Joey on Periscope is saying, yes, lip sync is way off. So it's either way off or it's a little bit, I don't know. Who knows? But hopefully you're okay with that. Justin Brown is watching from down under on YouTube. Hey. Great to see you, Justin. Haley from South Africa is saying, oh, this is awesome, Haley. How did it go? So Haley says from South Africa, did my first live last Thursday. Congratulations. Was it really scary? Did it go okay? The fact is you're still alive, so that's great, and that's really awesome. So David, before I get on with asking you a few more of my own questions, David's got a great question here. So David Bain asks, do you do much editing of your live stream content before repurposing it? So before I bring that over to you, Amy, I turn my live show into a podcast and I edit it. So I add a beginning bit, I add a little theme song, I add a little bit of extra at the beginning and also at the end. And then I do edit some bits out. So sometimes if there are comments that don't really make sense for the live show, then I'll edit those bits out. But generally, I because I focus a lot on getting the structure of my show really solid, for the live show and the podcast, I don't have to do as much editing maybe as I would have done otherwise. Amy, what any views on that?
Yeah, so we do. It depends what we're repurposing the live stream into, really. So for example, if we're repurposing the live stream into another video, but a sharper, more focused video, then we'll do editing where we will take out live aspects, so things that perhaps just aren't going to be that interesting to a non-live audience. And what we do with our clients is we often suggest that they have really structure it in a way that we know the segments that we will pull out for repurposing. So, do the introduction, have some, back and forward with the people who've joined you, embrace the live aspects of this content. And then, we suggest then have certain sections where, you let people who listening know that you're not going to be responding to comments for the next 10 minutes or so, because you're going to dig into the interview if it's with a guest, or you're going to present on your topic or whatever it may be. And then, come back to different segments and things like that. So if you segment your show, what we then do is we'll repurpose the segments. So it could be that the core bit that you present becomes the podcast episode, extract the audio. And as Ian said, maybe record a separate intro and outro is what we would usually do, introducing that section of the live stream and then the outro again. So pulling out sections that can stand alone and then topping and tailing them. So we do that editing. Same for YouTube. So if we're turning a live stream video into something that we would put onto YouTube, we do quite a lot of editing. And pull out the key bits and just make it seem a bit more focused on the topic. But also, there's so many cool things you can do. For example, say you run a Q&A in your live stream, quite often we'll pull out the A. So, we'll pull out you answering that great question and turn that into more like a short teaser video with the question at the top. Captions at the bottom and you answering that question, and then get that onto other platforms like Instagram stories, places like that. So yeah, we I guess long answer to the question, but we don't often take a live stream as it is in its entirety. But the reason that we love repurposing live streams is for exactly that, because if you create them with repurposing in mind and segment them in such a way, there's so much that you can then extract and do with the full live stream at the end of the recording when you have the MP4 or MOV file or whatever it is.
Yeah, that's really, really important stuff to say. So yes, there's lots of stuff that you can do. You can make it really simple. I mean, in a sense, I'm using Restream to multi-stream my broadcast. So I'm broadcasting to YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, and lots of other places. So in a kind of way, that's repurposing. I mean, this is going up. This will end up being a YouTube video in its entirety. But if you can, I think it's important to look at the actually repurposing little segments. And I'm going to ask you a little bit more about that, Amy, in a bit. But yeah, just a few other comments. Martin Buckland is saying live videos Tuesday at 2 are going well on Facebook Live. Cannot wait to have LinkedIn Live, which is my main platform for my clients. Yes, we're all waiting for LinkedIn Live to roll out further. It will get there, but I think, Martin, you're doing the right thing of broadcasting a regular show on Facebook, and then you can then demonstrate to LinkedIn, hey, LinkedIn, look, I've got a regular show on Facebook. Your competitor. Let me, I need to be on LinkedIn. Justin Brown, thank you, Justin, for telling me this. The audio delay is gone now. Switching to full screen, Amy, and then back. Fixed it. So, not sure. And what happened there? Mark says, yes, sync has stabilized and looking good on Facebook now. So, some gremlin in the system. I don't know. I'm using Ecom Live and I'm using Restream at the same time, which is probably part of the problem. Not overcomplicating things. Just a question from Haley, who says, when it comes to repurposing live videos, how do the overlays lay a part in this? Should we rather leave the streams with no overlays? I think that's a great question. And just before I kind of bring that over to you, Amy, there are some software out there. There are some live video tools out there, such as, let me get this right, there's vMix that can do this. The pro version of Wirecast can do this. And also Switcher Studio has something called ISO recording. Now, this is very, very advanced, and I wouldn't recommend this for beginners or intermediate people, because you need a beast of a computer. It's quite expensive. But what this does is it will record all the sources of your live stream. So if I was using the software, it would record Amy, the raw video of Amy, as one video. It would record my video, and it would record it all separately, which makes repurposing a lot easier. Because of the system I'm using, basically the output includes all the overlays, so there's not much you can do about that. So this is at this point, when I bring it over to you, Amy, what do you think about this? Do you know, should we bother with overlays because that might impact the the repurposing side, or do you think it doesn't really matter?
Yeah, I always do say that you should create content with repurposing in mind. So I think you need to plan out what you are going to repurpose the different sections of the live into, or the whole of the live into. And then I do think you need to consider then, is it necessary to have the overlays? If that's going to make me turning this into a YouTube video or a Facebook video, or obviously it doesn't matter if it's non-video content. When you repurpose it into a blog post or images or a podcast, that's fine. But video to snippets of video, I would just say, go easy on them if you don't think they'll translate well to the different forms of content. You don't need to have everything also fancy if it's then not going to look right in your repurposed content. So it's just about planning, I think. But I think what you said, Ian, sounds great in terms of if there's tools that are just, you can have all of the overlays in the front end, but you can still get the kind of like the raw video without all of that for the repurposing. But yeah, plan and prepare, and don't go overboard if it's not going to bring out the best quality repurposed content, because I don't think you should compromise on quality with the content that you repurpose, because all content should be quality. And just because something is repurposed, it shouldn't look of a lower quality. It should all stay at the same bar. So you need to create that content with the repurposing in mind, I would say.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I think that's very, very helpful. And for audio, I mean, I tend to focus more on the audio and then turning it into a blog. Those are the areas that I really focus on from a repurposing point of view. So the overlays don't matter so much. Well, they don't matter at all for audio, So I go to a lot of effort in making sure the repurposing of the audio is really good. So we're actually I'm bringing you in, Amy, via Ecamm Live as the guest, but I'm recording my audio using some software on my computer. I'm using Adobe Audition, and then we're recording your audio using a software called Zencaster. So I mean, there's a lot of things you can do if you want the quality to be really, really good from an audio point of view. And the reason I do that, we use Zencaster, is because the audio is recorded on your end, Amy, so that at the end of this, you don't have to do anything as the guest. I will then be sent the MP3 or the WAV file that I can just give to my editor or edit myself, and it's all great. So yeah, works really well. So I mean, this might seem a silly question, but just, I mean, why should we bother with repurposing? I mean, it seems a lot of effort. Yes, I mean, yeah, okay, the theory is we can pump out more content, but is it really worth it? Why should we bother?
It's like I could say so much to that answer.
Well, maybe I'll give you maybe 3 or 4 tweets worth of content.
Yeah, I think it's really important to make sure that people see your content, and if you're just putting content out in one place, just pumping out content and not doing any additional repurposing of it, then you're just not going to reach as many people. So firstly, it's about expanding your reach through repurposing, but it's also about it's about leveraging your time. So if you put so much time into each individual piece of content, and then you just keep creating these core long form pieces of content, but not doing any repurposing, you're not doing justice to your content, because you're not making sure that it reaches as many people as possible. But also, it's about leveraging your time. And I guess a key thing is staying consistent with your message in different platforms and in different locations. So not everybody watches a live stream. Some people don't like live streaming. Feel bad saying that to you, Ian.
How could you say that? How could you say that?
It feels awful. Some people would never join a live stream. Some people would never listen to a podcast. Some people just hate Facebook. Some people would never go on Instagram, etc. And so, there's just, everyone consumes content in different ways. People also don't connect with content in the same ways. Some people just won't establish much of a connection with you when they see your Instagram content, but when they start listening to the podcast, that's when they, really start to feel connected, or whatever it is, because we all connect in different ways. So I guess with repurposing it's like having all your eggs in one basket. If you just do one type of content, so I only do video content and I only put it on YouTube, let's say, that's kind of all your eggs in one basket of people who like videos and go on YouTube. But within that, you can spread the eggs so much further without too much additional effort, where you repurpose that into some content for Instagram, where you turn it into a written post to help you with SEO on your website, and all of the other, turn it into a podcast, etc. But it's not doing too much more than just constantly creating the new content, but in even spending the same amount of time repurposing one than creating the next. In doing that, going to reach more people, connect with more people. So, again, it's quite a long answer, but it's really about the reach, the connection, and establishing that authority through being consistent with your message in different locations, in different formats, rather than just single lane focus in a more narrow audience.
Yeah, I think that's important. And I think you're so right in saying that everyone is going to have a different preferred method of consumption. So yeah, you're totally right. Not everyone likes consuming live video. I mean, I don't have the time to watch lots and lots of live videos. And the thing that I love about podcasting is that, you basically, people are going to listen to a whole, like, it depends on how long your podcast is. If it's an hour long, they're basically plugging you into their ears for a whole hour. Live video, yes, that can happen. People can watch your live shows for more, but for the whole thing. But a lot of the time, it's dipping in and out. There's more of the dipping in and out. And then, of course, blog posts are great for SEO. I mean, yes, you can do SEO with podcasting and stuff like that and live video. But so I think doing all of those things and all the other things that you were talking about is so important. We've got some other great comments from Haley and David. I will get back to you. I just want to ask Amy my next question first, and then we get on with that, which is LinkedIn. We're talking specifically today about LinkedIn, and I wanted to ask you why should we why should we be considering LinkedIn, but why have you focused on LinkedIn? Why are you focusing on LinkedIn with this whole LinkedIn 10x thing? Because I know you've been focusing on live video and other things, but why LinkedIn, and why should we be considering LinkedIn more?
Yeah, so you're right. We've really kind of gone down a focus on LinkedIn, and we have a service called LinkedIn 10x, which is really kind of now our signature service and what we're mainly marketing and working on at the moment. And I guess the reason is I did some, I guess, a big kind of review of everything around the 3-year point of what we've been doing with our clients, our biggest success stories, what really works, and what we're trying to achieve. And, we're trying to help people become a leading authority in their industry, become known, so that they can ultimately use their content and that expertise that they're sharing widely to become to grow the business basically, and to make everything easier, make customers come to them and get more speaking engagements, make the sale easier because their expertise is proven through the content, and so much more. And so in looking at that, we're looking at who have we seen, what platforms have worked the best for business growth through content, and it just was LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is the platform that we see make the biggest difference in terms of when you start to take off and become the authority on LinkedIn. That's when your business starts to grow, when actual impacts your ROI. So it's not to say to slate other platforms like Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, etc. But if you are on LinkedIn and your clients are on LinkedIn and you establish leadership and authority, and people know who you are and what you do and what problem you solve through your content on LinkedIn, that's where we see it sounds so cliche, but the needle moving people's businesses. So we decided that we wanted to have more of a LinkedIn focus, number one. Number two, video is always the best form of content to repurpose, as we're talking about now, and talking about all the ways you can slice and dice it into other video content and text content and blog and podcast, etc. So we decided to focus on LinkedIn and LinkedIn video. But then secondly, podcasts as well. So always repurposing the videos into podcasts, because again, stepping back, what helps people really become recognized and leading authority. And there's no doubt that through having a podcast, that makes a big impact as well. And then SEO too. So through the power of LinkedIn and through the power of video content as the core content repurposed, the power of podcasting, and then SEO through turning all of that into really well-written blog posts to go on websites, and also a YouTube video from the main video. Everything combines together to just, really provide that great set of content every week for people to just massively expand their authority on the platform that we see have the biggest impact for actual, revenue growth and business growth. So yeah, that's why. I mean, every asset that we create that can go on LinkedIn can of course go on other platforms, those teasers, those graphics, etc. Of course it can go on Facebook and Instagram, etc. too, but we're doing a big focus on that, combining LinkedIn video with repurposing, and that's it's going really well, and we're really, really pumped about it, to be honest. Actually, it's like, probably the most exciting thing that we've done as a business this year.
Well, I think the problem is that if you spread yourself too thinly, and if you focus on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, all of these at the same time, you're not going to do a great job if you start off like that way. So to focus on what's going to be the most important network for you. And I think LinkedIn, and I'm going to be honest about myself, I think LinkedIn is one of those networks that I know I should be doing more on. I know I should be on, but for some reason, I don't know. I don't have the enthusiasm for it at the moment, but I think I would have a lot more enthusiasm if I spent more time on it. And I invested much more of my focus on that. And so I'm going to ask you some questions a little bit more about like what kind of content we should be creating on LinkedIn. But before I do that, just to say, Haley was saying, so this is going back to the whole her question about overlays and a way around that. So one option is to record on a video camera which records the live without overlays, and then you'll have one video without any overlays. So I suppose you're talking about having two cameras, and if you get them as close to each other as possible, that's better. The only problem is that even if you get them really close, it's going to look like on one of them that you're not looking at the camera. And so I think that's, if I look at the screen at the moment, so let me just take that comment off. If I look at the screen, it looks like I'm looking down. It doesn't look like I'm actually looking at you watching at the moment. So I think we've got to be slightly careful about that, but that's good. David Bain says, have either of you tried the Zencastr automatic post-production service? That's a bit of a mouthful. And I'll have to say, no, I haven't. The reason I use Zencastr for recording the audio of my guests is because I've felt, compared to all the other services I've used, it's got the easiest onboarding. And I think, Amy, you would agree that when you clicked on the button, you didn't really have to do very much. You were even wondering, do I need to press a record button? And the thing is, you don't. You just need to click the button, and that's it. And I edit I edit everything separately, and I've got all the post-production sorted. But so I haven't tried that. Let me know if you have and what you think about it. So, Amy, what kind of content works on LinkedIn? You mentioned video, and I've when I have been on LinkedIn, I do see that video is working a lot. I do see you posting a lot of video on there. Should it be? Is video the main thing? What should we be doing on LinkedIn? Help us.
I don't think it is the main thing. So I think video works well. And as you mentioned, you see me posting videos. We've actually, maybe we've gone a bit overboard recently, but we've been posting a lot of videos on LinkedIn, and repurposing them. And we've been, to explain, I suppose, we've been putting ourselves through our LinkedIn service and really seeing, that it works and testing it through. So that's what we constantly do every week. But not just video. So text posts work really well, text only posts, funnily enough. So on other platforms, I know they're often, very visual. And when you add, obviously Instagram is, but Facebook and Twitter as well, when you add graphics, videos, etc., that often gives you more engagement, more reach. But we do find on LinkedIn that text only posts work really well as well. And image posts. So I know that's saying all of them, but I don't think that there's any one in particular. I think it really does just come down to what you are posting about and the engagement, and are you asking a question, are you inviting comments, are you sharing a story? There's a lot more storytelling on LinkedIn than other platforms, I find. People start sharing storytelling style posts that are usually leading to some call to action or, asking some question. I see them going one of two ways. I think often they work and often they seem a little bit too overly contrived and copywritten and maybe don't work too well. But what we do is we really mix it. So we'll have a couple of video posts a week, but a couple of image posts, and then 2 or even 3 text only posts, and then really mix them up as well. So from long form text posts, like almost mini articles, work well, but just 1 or 2 sentence, attention grabbing, asking questions that people can just answer quickly, or people are going to have an opinion on, they work really well as well. So I think you just have to mix it up and find the sweet spot for your audience. And I guess it's the do they have the attention span to watch your videos, or do they just always prefer to answer quick, like single text questions and things like that? So it's finding what works for you. But I don't feel like there's this big algorithm, kind of favorability towards certain types. That just doesn't seem to be happening like it happens on other platforms. So it is a bit of a test, I think.
That's interesting. And maybe you can do both. So if you're doing a video, I mean, one thing that I've found is that somebody's shared a really cool tip that I want to see, but I'm not in the situation that I can watch the video. Maybe there's, I don't know, something else happening in the house. And so I kind of just want to read some text. So if you're posting a video, make sure you put a summary, I think. And the other thing I've seen used quite a lot are hashtags as well. So you can create a hashtag series. So I think that's a really good thing. So let's move on to LinkedIn Live, and whether we should be using it. And the problem is, at the moment, still LinkedIn Live has not been rolled out to everyone. It's still in beta testing. So not everyone has it, but do you recommend, if we do have it, that we should utilize LinkedIn Live when it comes to repurposing? And what are the advantages over that, or the disadvantages between that and pre-recorded video on LinkedIn?
Well, I think, so as you said, because it's only just rolling out, so it's still, quite rare, isn't it, on the platform for people to go live as opposed to other platforms. It does help you stand out. And, we definitely find that therefore people are more aware of people going live, and though that does get pushed a bit more, there is some kind of algorithm play on live content. But I think it's really interesting with LinkedIn, because I think it really does depend on who your audience are, and when they come onto LinkedIn. And live streams are often fairly longer form content, aren't they, Ian? Really, like, you don't tend to. What would you recommend as a minimum time for people to go live? Like at least 15 minutes or longer, would you say?
Well, I think it depends on the platform and what you want to do. I mean, sometimes like 4 or 5 minute lives can sometimes work, but I think on LinkedIn, actually, one of the things that they say on LinkedIn, that there are some rules that you have to subscribe to, and one of them is, I think that they need to be at least 10 minutes long. I will double check that in a minute, but yeah, there are some rules, and I think on LinkedIn, I think they do need to be a little bit longer.
Yeah, so I think that's something to consider. So when you upload a non-live pre-recorded video to LinkedIn, the maximum is 10 minutes. And then, as you're saying, Ian, so then they're obviously wanting the lives to be longer than the videos that would be pre-recorded. And I get that, because it's all about people coming and joining you and giving people to get their live going and all that kind of thing. But I think in that case, I think it's great to really have a structure to your live stream, and enable it for repurposing as well, which we talked about before. But it's whether people come to LinkedIn to watch long form content, I guess is still, I think, being worked out as to whether that's what people consume and people want. And in that case, I think you really need to promote. You need to make it like a show. I think if somebody just turns up on LinkedIn, they're just having a dip in, having a look on the lunch break at work or something like that, and there's a live going on, maybe the likelihood of them, I'll just like stop what I'm doing and watch half an hour of a live stream, maybe isn't necessarily for a LinkedIn type audience necessarily going to happen. But I think, if you do lots of promotion and people are aware, and you build up some hype for your show, you have, we were talking before, but I'm a big fan of segmenting shows, so people know what's going to come, and the different sections, people start to really like certain segments and things like that, become a fan of certain aspects of the show as well as the show itself, and really do that. Then maybe there's more likelihood that people will, put that time aside to join you live, especially if you're adding value and you're teaching people, and people are going to come in and learn, and will take it as an opportunity to stop what they're doing, stop the work that they're doing, and commit to attending your live, because it's great, and they always come away and they learn something new to apply. So it's like personal development somehow, as well as consuming content. Then I really think that can work. I just think you have to play it a little bit differently on LinkedIn, because of the kind of people that are on LinkedIn, the times of day that they may come in, the frame of mind that they may come in to look at LinkedIn, and work out, how you market that as something that they should give time up to come onto the platform to watch you, and then really push the benefits of the live, the fact that it's access to somebody, the fact that you can ask questions, people that you may not necessarily get to interact with. And so I think if you're then going to go live and you're going to convince people to come and give up the time to attend the live, then make sure that you do make the most of the live aspects and don't just run it like a pre-recorded video then, I think, as well, so that people see the virtues and the benefits of that. And then of course you have all of the repurposing, but yeah, I think you stream at the same time to multiple different platforms, don't you, Ian? So I guess you're seeing what's happening and what's working and not working on platforms. And I guess that makes it maybe a bit harder to do a platform specific live stream, because you've got to bear in mind all the different platforms, haven't you? So
I think multi-streaming is more challenging, and you've got to think about the different audiences. But why not do a mixture of different things? And I think you'd probably say the same. Don't just do live video, do pre-recorded video, do other stuff as well. And this is where content repurposing can come into it. I've just seen that Matthias from Challenge ITV has just joined, running out of a meeting to join the live. Well, it's great to see. How are you getting on? Have you done your live videos yet? And where are you going to be broadcasting it to? We're talking today, if you just joined, how to become a leading authority on LinkedIn with live video. So, Amy, you talked about like the different segments of the show. I liked what you said there. Can you maybe tell us, what's worked really well when you've worked with your clients? You talked about like some different sections, and like some of your audience like really look forward to a particular section. Have you got any ideas on how we can, I don't know, jumble up or change the structure of our live shows that they'll work well for repurposing, but also work well for engagement too?
Well, I think there's so many different kind of ways that people do live streams, from like the interview style live streams through to, like solo presentation of live streams and things like that. So I think it's quite hard to say, what works, and what works for one person doesn't necessarily work for another. But I think, as I mentioned before, I think if you're going to do live, then a mistake sometimes I see people make is that they do live, but then don't make the most of the fact that it is live, and forget to include like the audience engagement side. So we definitely, in the early days, like years ago, we worked with some people who went live and didn't even say hi, at all. Like there was no live aspect. It was completely as if pre-recorded, and it just defeated the object. The quality was probably lower, like kind of lower quality, because like not edited and nervous and things like that, but then no interaction either. So there was like, it didn't really work that well. So I think, it's adding sections where you embrace that and you remember that people are coming because of that, so they can ask questions. There's the transparency and the authenticity, and if you're providing access to guests and things like that, then remember to have segments where people can interact in that way. But then, as we talked about before, maybe focusing on the repurposable sections too. So things like Q&As, I love that, because you can blitz through Q&As and get all these wonderful answers that can be turned into also, an answer in itself can then be turned into a LinkedIn post, can't it? You could answer 10 questions in a live, and then you could have 10 text only posts over the course of the next week, where you're just sharing in a text post the answers that you provided in the live earlier that week. So and then that plays to what works best. Well, you're doing both, but you're not doing too much extra work. You've answered everything in the live, and then it created 10 text posts afterwards. Maybe turn one of them into an image, and maybe extract one of them as a little teaser video. That's too. Right. But yeah, I think things like that. How can you extract those segments? But it depends on what you're going for in terms of, is it entertainment value? Is it entertainment? Is it education? You could go kind of crazy and have some fun segments. I'm sure if you were asking our good friends Andrew and Pete now, they'd come up with you can imagine. Well, they have segments, so that's a great example actually of all the little segments that they would have of asking people to answer questions whilst with water in the mouth and things like that. So things like, but that's people I've done a lot of content recently where I've been comparing live streams and content in general to the TV talk shows in the US, like the Late Late Show and Jimmy Kimmel and things like that. But how they do that. So they do such a wonderful job of having these shows where they jump to certain segments, and then that segment in its own right is a playlist on YouTube. And every segment has been put in there in YouTube. It's a playlist and has millions of views. And what is it? You know, Carpool Karaoke from the Late Late Show is a segment of a show that's actually become a show in its all right. And you know, some people have watched all of James Corden's Carpool Karaoke and never seen an episode of his show and that kind of thing. But it's all segments of content. And same with, I was talking on my podcast last week about, can't remember if it's Jimmy Fallon or Jimmy Kimmel because I get them mixed up, but like he has like his meet tweets section of his show that people look forward to, or they'll do lots of tweets beforehand and then bring that content into the live. So I think that's when I was talking about audience interaction and bringing people in and making the most of it being live, things like the build up. So maybe building up to it on even on another platform, like building up on Twitter and asking people to, you know, tweet this or that, and you'll share the top 10 tweets in your live stream. And if you come onto it, maybe we'll interact with you and find out more about why you wrote that tweet or something like that. So I think it's, you know, create content beforehand as well that you can potentially bring in, but the content involve the audience. So then they're going, you know, hopefully going to come and join you and follow their content to see it being discussed further in that live stream, maybe even with an expert as well. So I think, cool. The think it's just like planning it through and then trying to be consistent so that people get used to it as much as they get used to watching their favorite talk shows, like TV talk shows.
That's great stuff. Yeah, totally agree with you. And yes, I can see a question from Matthias from Challenge ITV says, can anyone live stream on LinkedIn or any criteria to be approved? Sorry, I'm new to this platform. Yeah, there's no such thing as a silly question. So yeah, it's currently in closed beta, so you can apply to it. If you go to my website, iag.me, on the homepage, you'll see an article to all about LinkedIn Live, and that gives you all the criteria there and how you can apply. I did look, Amy, and it says they want it to be a minimum of 10 to 15 minutes. It needs anything shorter than that, then they say do pre-recorded video. And also just to say, if you are interested in unboring your videos, Amy mentioned Andrew and Pete. If you go to iag.me/31, you can listen and watch their episode all about that. But I've just realized the time. My goodness, we've been talking about so much really powerful stuff. But I do need to bring in my next sponsor, which is Restream. Let's see if the button is working. Yes. So Restream, I use every single live show that I do to multi-stream to lots of different platforms. It's really, really awesome. And you could see this really as the complete multi-streaming service for entrepreneurs. So you can broadcast to over 30 different destinations all at the same time, including LinkedIn Live, Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Twitch, Periscope, and so much more, which is amazing. And you could do this from any tool you like OBS Studio or Ecamm Live or Wirecast or whatever. But if you want to keep things simple and do some really cool professional stuff, you can use the Restream Studio. This works within the browser, and I'm partly using that for this live stream. So all the comments, if you're watching the live show or the replay, you'll be able to see the comments. I'm using Restream Studio for that. So that's amazing. You can interact with your audience. You can bring up to 9 guests onto your show. 2 really cool features that I've just added in the last few weeks. You can now broadcast in stereo if the platform accepts stereo. So I know Facebook does, YouTube does. So that's pretty cool. And even more exciting that you can now schedule, depending on how you pronounce it. So this allows you can schedule to LinkedIn Live. That's currently in closed beta testing, but that should be released soon. YouTube and Facebook. This is really, really important if you want to promote your live videos or if you want to do anything fancy like Facebook Messenger bots. So yes, I've talked about multi-streaming. The chat feature is amazing because you can highlight and see all the comments from all those different channels. You can also stream your pre-recorded videos live. And the bit that people forget, of course, is the analytics, because it's really important to see how your live videos have been doing. check your viewers, how many people are watching throughout it, were there any dips, were there any peaks, and you can learn from that and be able to produce even more amazing videos for the future. So if you want to find out more, if you want to sign up, they've got a free plan. All you need to do is go to iag.me/Restream, iag.me/Restream, and I thank you so much, Restream, for sponsoring this show. Right, fabulous. Well, we're almost out of time, Amy, but just a few extra things. So are there any other things that we should be thinking about in terms of how, if we want to become an authority on LinkedIn, how can we utilize repurposing to do that, to actually become an authority on a particular topic?
Well, I think when it comes to becoming an authority, it's about people. So I guess I say this quite a lot in my podcast and in my content, but people need to know who you are. People need to know what problem that you solve. People need to know so clearly that if they have that problem, then they immediately think of you and come to you. And that's how, you grow your business through people. A lot of people create content, I think, and they're trying to become an authority in a certain space and become known for something. But the content can be so kind of scattergun and not very targeted. And then people like them and follow them, but couldn't really say what they would go to them to get help with, or what their very specific expertise is. So when you're repurposing your content and you're coming up with your content strategies and your plan of what you are going to talk about and what you want to become known for, when you then go on and repurpose that content, you're staying on message, you're staying very close to the original content. You're just expanding that message and communicating maybe in a different format or in a different location, but you're consistently staying core to what you want to be known for. And so really repurposing helps you become an authority, and creating content helps you become an authority, but you must make sure that you're managing and staying on track with what you want to become an authority for. So I think on LinkedIn in particular, you want to rise up above your peers, you want to stand up above your competitors, and you want people to know you and recognize you immediately. Then it's all about content, it's all about adding value, and it's all about using the different content formats on the platform, but staying clear and consistent with your message and who you are. So utilize video, utilize text posts, utilize going live, create a great live stream if you can, when that comes out of beta or if you have access to it. Text posts, experiment, short form, long form, but whatever you do, don't be talking about Instagram one day, morning routines the next day, productivity the next day, everything, completely scattergun. Just stay. It's okay to deviate sometimes, of course, not, they are social platforms, but when you're being, adding value and helping people and sharing your expertise, just try not to go on too many different angles and too many different places, because you won't become known for what you want to become known for. People will just think you're a nice person, but when they have that problem and you want to help them, they'll say, oh, I went there instead because I didn't even know that's what you do. So you just want to avoid that. You want to become known for what you want and so control it through your content.
That's so true. And I'm laughing because we talked about this maybe a couple of episodes ago, and I was talking about when I went to Youpreneur Summit, which I know you've spoken at Youpreneur Summit, and we've seen each other a lot there in London. And there was one year when about 3 or 4 people came up to me, we had a conversation, and they kind of said, Ian, you're a nice guy, but what is it you do? So you don't want that. And that was really useful for me, because I realized at that point that I wasn't doing a good job at communicating that. So don't do that. Matthias says, is Amy from Content 10X? Yes. Amy is the founder. So yes, she just joined us a little bit later. So so it's great. So if you've missed the beginning bit, you can go back and watch the replay. And it also says, just seen that Justin Brown was commenting. Justin has some great content. Ian has great friends. I do have great friends. I'm very, very happy about that. And it also says, Ian, I didn't realize this. So the Stream Now feature in YouTube will be disabled by the end of the month with Restream. So I never really used that. I've always created scheduled live broadcasts, so I don't really see any point in using the Stream Now part of that. So we're at the end. Amy, you just maybe if you could tell us a little bit, if any of my anyone watching or listening would like to find out more about your LinkedIn 10x service, how can they find out more, and how do they get started with all of this?
Well, in terms of finding out more, just head on over to content10x.com/LinkedIn 10x, and then you'll be able to find it, or just content10x.com. It's fairly easy to navigate. I think in terms of, though, really, taking a step back and how do you get started, just commit to one form of content. So if it's, we're on this Confident Live now, so if you're going to commit to live streaming, just commit at first and just get consistent with it. Don't get too overwhelmed with all the possibilities and everything that you can do. Firstly, just take that first step of starting to create the content, and consistency is key. Start to become consistent, and then start to take more steps at a time as to more that you could do with your content. But if you want help, then as well as finding out about our service, if you want real kind of done for you help with our LinkedIn 10x service, also we have there's 150 now podcast episodes and blog posts and loads of content as well. So consume all the content that we've been putting out to help you as well. And then if you want to take the next step, then sure, have a look at our services, because we'd love to help you. And there's the book as well. So there's a book and there's a toolkit. So if you prefer more like showing you tutorials, videos, checklists, things like that, then by all means, go check our toolkit out as well. But try and be consistent and don't get too overwhelmed, one step at a time, and take the help when you can. So it's not easy.
Yeah. Well, so you're basically you're kind of practicing what you do. I mean, you've got a book, you've got a toolkit, you've got a podcast. I mean, you do everything, and so actually you can learn so much from Amy and Content 10x. Do get the book, do check out the podcast. They are really awesome. I mean, I feel like I know a lot about content repurposing, but I listen to your podcast and think, oh wow, that's a great idea. Oh wow, and I keep learning new stuff. So I mean, that's always good. We're always learning new things. So definitely check it out. And of course, you'll be at different stages in your business. So at this stage, you might want to just learn how to do it yourself, and you might not be ready to hire a Content 10x to do this, but maybe in the future you will do, or maybe you will be right now. So just check out Content 10x. Thank you so much, Amy, for coming on the show. It's been awesome to have you on again.
Thank you for having me on.
Absolutely. And if today's show, if this show wasn't enough, then Amy is coming back later today, so 4 p.m. in the UK for the Restream show. We're going to be focusing more on general repurposing, or repurposing of live videos for that. So if you want to find out about that, just come back to my channel at 4 p.m. in the UK, and you can find out about that. And of course, if you want to be to subscribe to all my future shows, all you need to do is go to confident.live/subscribe. confident.live/subscribe. You can get my free confidence guide, and you can get notified using my fancy new Facebook Messenger bot. Well, thank you, Amy. It's been great to have you on the show. I'll see you later today. But it's been awesome. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate you for plugging us into your ears, or watching live, or watching the replay. I really love that, and I'm here to serve you and help you. But until next time, I encourage you to level up your impact, authority, and profits through the power of Confident Live Video. See you soon. Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Confident Live Marketing Podcast with Ian Anderson Gray. Be sure to join the community at iag.me, where you can continue to level up your impact, authority, and profits through the power of live video. And until next time, toodaloo.